Hey everybody, welcome to another installment of Squirrel's videos from thetoys.com. This is going to be an interesting next set of 4 videos because I actually was expecting 2 engines like back in September or August, and I have yet to get my engines back. So in order to advance forward into my plans and threads and everything else, I'm using an engine that I've already sealed and other things like that. But this is how to seal your engine, so keep in mind that this is an engine that I've already sealed, so I'm having to scrape everything off. The other unique aspect of this is I'm just going to point and show you and mildly somewhat do some of the stuff. The reason for that is the thread is actually going to be a lot better than the video because the thread is actually going to show the pictures. And to me, you really need to see the pictures in the detail to see exactly what I'm talking about. But the first step in actually doing an engine seal is by doing the back plate. The first thing you want to do is remove your back plate, and you just take your screws off right here, and you're going to see a seal when you take this back part of the engine off the back plate. Basically, if you have a black O-ring there or just any type of O-ring, when you pull this part off of the engine, you're going to want to leave that there and let it do its job basically. The other thing is, while you have the back plate open, take the head off, take the internals of the engine, the sleeve, the piston, everything else, wipe it down if it's a brand new engine, make sure you get all the metal shavings off. This is going to be another video and another thread as well. So if you're wondering exactly how to do that in detail, visit my YouTube account, visit thetoys.com for the forums, and you'll see detail as to actually what to remove, how to wipe it off, etc. So I'm not going to do that here. And if you don't have the black O-ring, what you can do is take high temp automotive gasket material. This is copper. It's what I like and prefer. And what you can do, and this stuff will stain your shirts and everything else. It's basically orangish in color. All you're going to do is you can take the Q-tips and put a little dab on it. Take the cotton off, of course. And then just spread a thin layer around the back part of the engine back plate itself. That way when you put the back plate on and then your starter on, it's going to have you're going to have basically like a little copper thin seal right here. If you don't have everything set up correctly, basically what's going to happen, if it's not a complete fit, you're going to get an air leak in there, and that's going to cause your engine temps to go up. And if it gets bad, then you're going to be running in a completely lean state, all because of that little seal right there. The other main point of concern is the carburetor area right here. I already had the carb off. All you're going to do for this one, actually a lot of the work and the sealing is going to be done through the carburetor, is you're going to be taking this. I'll go ahead and put this on and just push some through it. Wow, is this old stuff or is it? There we go. And all you're going to do here is just put a ring around the actual carb itself. Once you get the ring all the way around and it touches, just slam that right in there. The main thing you want to learn though, is when you do that, you want to make sure you take the carb and the engine and try to seat it on your vehicle first. What you're going to be doing there is making sure and ensuring that you have your linkages where you want them, specifically your throttle. Because if you don't have your throttle lined up, for instance, this is on my CRT, so it'd be like this, and it fits like that. And I know just from having this already sealed previously and my throttle linkage is set up, that this is exactly the where I need my throttle linkage to be. Some buggies have it on the other side, truggies tend to have it on the top. Monster trucks can be different. For instance, the Revo, if you have a big block Revo, it's going to be on the other side. So you want to make sure that you have everything aligned to where it's going to be. Then put your ring around it, slide it right on, and you're going to get a ring of gasket material right there. If you get any towards the bottom where the gasket is right here, which isn't always a good seal, it's just going to push it right up and it's going to form a little ring right there, and that'll prevent air from leaking in there. The other thing you want to do is you have your high-speed needle and you got your low-speed needle right here. This is where the pad and the pen come in. write down how many turns out that you have your needles, and then even if you're still tuning, you don't necessarily want to come back to an overly rich engine because it's hard to start. Back the screws out and your needles out, and you're going to have your green slime here. You're just going to say this is the needle itself. This is the head where you put your screwdriver. You're just going to put a thin ring around where the bottom of that ridged needle is, and it's going to be very similar to how you did your collet. Excuse me, not your collet, but your carburetor. Then once you have that, you can put another one down at the bottom if you want. You don't always have to, but anywhere where it's threaded, you can always do that. And what that's going to do is it's going to pop up a little bit right here, and it's going to seal that entire low-speed needle and the high-speed needle as well. Once you have your low-speed and your high-speed needle sealed on the carb, you can then take this brass material right here that actually holds the needle. You can pop that off. Also, the fuel inlet will come off too. You can place a little bit of, I can't get it with my bare hands, but when you pop it off, you can also put sealant right here and at the bottom and the top of the inlet for the fuel. That will also help seal it from leaks as well. So once you get all that done, you seal this, throw it in there, you get your back plate done, you have a perfectly sealed engine. And that's all there is to it. Again, check back on my thread. I'm actually going to have pictures of exactly how to do it, and it will be a lot more straightforward. But if you just wanted to see exactly where on the engine things were coming from, maybe you weren't sure, maybe this video will help you then. The other thing to note is once you deal with this gasket material, you're probably going to want to go out there and use your RC right away. It's actually a really bad idea too. You're going to want to let the gasket material completely dry for at least 24 hours. That way everything has a chance to set up. This is 700 degree gasket material, so you shouldn't be going above 300 degrees on your engine. So it will be completely fine with that. The other thing is, say your engine was completely tuned before and you had a slight ear leak and you didn't know about it, your engine temps are going to go down a little bit, so you can actually lean out a little bit more if you choose to. It depends on your RC, depends on how your engine's running. Anyway, that's the sealing part of the engine. Check out my other 3 videos that I'm doing today on, well, I really shouldn't be doing this to begin with on this engine, but anyway, that's another story for another day. Oh, by the way, Elliot says hi. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Hey everybody, this is a supplemental part of the video. Before I was saying you should note down or maybe I didn't, I don't know, but you should always write down the number of turns before you do it. One thing I was thinking as I was doing this for the actual thread itself was, how do you know how far or how much to turn in? What you do is you start with your screwdriver and you go all the way in, and as you go in you count how many revolutions you did, like half, 1, 1.5, 2. So what I'm doing right now is I just put my green slime inside my high-speed needle. If you want, go to the thread and see how I did that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw the high-speed needle back in. Now before cool, you can't see it. Before I pulled it, I did write down how many turns it took as far as the needle being out, and it was 4.5 turns out. So what I'm doing is I am turning the needle all the way back in, there we go. Try to do some things at a distance. So I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. I can't turn it anymore, which is right there. I'm going to wipe off some of the extra green slime. Now my high-speed needle, I don't know if I said 4.5 or 4, but I have it written down as 4. So from right here at this point, I'm going to go half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4. And that's how far out my high-speed needle was. Now again, this wasn't exactly tuned. It was on the rich side. I was still in the process of break-in really for this engine. So that's how you turn in and out your needles.